listening to the Wrestle Havoc podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. We talk all that goes on in the realm of WWE and AEW every week. And now, here's your host, the one that will give you a reality check on pro wrestling, Flamin' Ricky DeReyes. This is the Wrestle Havoc podcast.
What's up, everybody? It is Flamin' Ricky DeReyes, right here on the Wrestle Havoc podcast, here to review AEW Dynamite from May 31st, 2023. We have a lot of things to talk about right here on the show. Of course, the big story coming out of Dynamite this past Wednesday was it is official. CM Punk will be coming back to AEW, and he will be making his return on the premiere episode of AEW Collision June 17th. I got a lot on my chest to talk about this because, yes, I'm very excited about CM Punk, but that crowd reaction, man, there was a lot of mixed reactions. A lot of people were cheering for CM Punk, but there was also another portion of the crowd that was not so happy about the announcement of CM Punk. And I am going to be talking about right here on this Dynamite review whether I think CM Punk should come back as a babyface or a heel. But, of course, we had the whole CM Punk news. We had the Blackpool Combat Club in action taking on the Lucha Brothers and Bandido, which was a great opening match. We also had Adam Cole, Bebe, and Britt Baker teaming up to take on Chris Jericho and Saraya. It's safe to say that that mixed tag team match was 10 times better than the match that Chris Jericho and Adam Cole had at Double or Nothing. And also, one thing that was really awesome about this show was that I genuinely felt that I enjoyed this show much better than I did Double or Nothing. Not to say Double or Nothing was a bad show. I talked about this on my Double or Nothing review, but it was one of definitely AEW's weaker shows, but by all means, it wasn't a bad show. But the crowd definitely turned me off on a lot of matches, and the crowd on this show definitely made up for all the atrocity that was the Las Vegas crowd, man. Fuck Las Vegas. But we're going to be talking about that as well. We had Jay White and Juice Robinson in a segment. We had a great triple threat match with Swerve, Strickland taking on Big Bill and Trent Beretta. We also had the Gates of Agony, of course, the Embassy, taking on Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin, which was a great match, by the way, as well. And a lot of other stuff happening on this show. But before I get on with all this craziness regarding AEW Dynamite, make sure to like and subscribe to the Wrestle Havoc podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the friggin' referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, if you guys missed it, the WWE Raw review is up on the channel. I talk about the era of Seth Rollins beginning. Of course, Seth Rollins is the new World Heavyweight Champion, and we don't have a program set for Seth Rollins yet. But overall thoughts on Raw, I thought Raw was actually not that bad of a show. So if you guys haven't checked out the Raw review, the link will be in the description below. And also, if you guys missed it, both pay-per-view reviews are up on the channel as well. Of course, I have the Night of Champions review, in which we have Jimmy Uso snapping and turning on Roman Reigns, breaking the bloodline further apart. If you guys haven't checked out the Night of Champions review, I definitely recommend you guys to check it out. I also have clips of the review uploaded on the channel, and it's doing very well in viewership. I believe the Jimmy Uso clip is well over 1,000 views, so thank you guys for all that support. But if you guys haven't checked out the Night of Champions review, the link will be in the description as well. Plus, the AEW Double or Nothing review is up on the channel. I talk about anarchy in the arena, delivering absolute insanity and pure violence. If you guys did not check out the Double or Nothing review, I definitely recommend you guys to check it out as well. I also have uploaded clips of that review up on the channel, so if you guys don't want to check out the full review, you can check out the clips on the review as well. But nonetheless, let's get on with the AEW Dynamite review. The show kicks off with the Blackpool Combat Club in action, consisting of Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta. Of course, the Blackpool Combat Club got the win this past Sunday at Double or Nothing in the Anarchy in the Arena match with the help of Konosuke Takeshita. And that segment that Don Callis had with Konosuke Takeshita, it's safe to say that Dominic Mysterio ain't got shit on Don Callis. I'll be talking about that later on in the review. But overall thoughts, of course, the Blackpool Combat Club take on the Lucha Brothers and Bandido. This was a hot opener. I absolutely loved this match. The Lucha Brothers and Bandido are a fantastic pairing, by the way. Bandido has been fantastic. The Lucha Brothers are great as well. They are the current Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, and honestly, I do not know what the Lucha Brothers are doing in Ring of Honor because I stopped watching Ring of Honor a while ago. But nonetheless, I thought this match was absolutely great. The match starts. A brawl breaks loose. Of course, the BCC is in control. We get a triple thrust kick by the Lucha Brothers and Bandido. And then they try to go for the triple tope, but then the Blackpool Combat Club come back and basically take out all three babyfaces. Yuta then sends Bandido to the barricade. The match officially begins now. Originally, I thought this match was already starting, but I didn't even hear that the bell rung. So at this point, the match officially begins. Claudio sends Penta to the ringside area, but then Bandido fights off Yuta in the ring. We then get a slam by Yuta on Bandido, and then he manages to hit a senton. After that, we get a cover by Yuta and a near fall. Bandido picks up Yuta and holds him up, and Lucha Brothers go for a series of thrust kicks, and all at the same time, all while Bandido is holding up Yuta in a vertical suplex position, and Bandido holds Wheeler Yuta up for 1 whole minute. If that is not impressive, I don't know what is. After that, Bandido manages to hit the vertical suplex, and then we get a cover by Bandido and a near fall. After that, the Lucha Brothers try to go for the Fear Factor, but instead, Phoenix goes for the tightrope walk. After that, we get a corkscrew kick by Phoenix. Claudio comes in. Penta ends up hitting the backstabber, but then Bandido manages to tag in. And then he misses the springboard crossbody, but then at this point, Wheeler Yuta distracts the referee. After that, we get the spiked pile driver by Claudio and Moxley on the outside. Once we're back from commercial break, Moxley is in control over Bandido. Bandido then tries to fight back, but then we get repeated clotheslines in the corner by Moxley on Bandido. After that, Moxley sends Bandido into the corner, but then Moxley runs into a boot. Bandido then hits the tornado off the top. Claudio and Phoenix tag in, but then we get the waistlock by Phoenix. We get repeated back elbows by Claudio, but then Phoenix misses the spinning kick. After that, we get a thrust kick by Phoenix on Claudio, and then we get a kick on Yuta. After that, Pentagon makes the tag. We get a double thrust kick by the Lucha Brothers. Penta ends up hitting the sling blade on Claudio, and then we get a thrust kick by Penta on Claudio, but then we get a DDT on Mox. After that, he runs into a lariat by Claudio. After that, Yuta and Bandido make the tag. Both exchange shots. Yuta then bites the face of Bandido, and then Bandido ends up hitting a drop kick. Then he hits a cutter, but then Bandido goes to the top, and then we get a double somersault by the Lucha Brothers. Then Bandido ends up hitting the frog splash. We get a cover into near fall. Bandido then gets Yuta up, and then he hits the knee strike. After that, Bandido tries to go for the 21-plex, but then Moxley comes in. We get a kick by Penta on Mox for the save, but then Claudio ends up hitting the uppercut. Then we get a jumping knee by Yuta, but then Yuta ends up hitting the repeated elbow strikes on Bandido. And then Yuta ends up going for the seatbelt pin on Bandido, and he gets the 3 count, and the Blackpool Combat Club get the win over the Lucha Brothers and Bandido. Overall thoughts on this match, again, a very, very, very hot opener to start the show. Every time when the Lucha Brothers and Bandido are wrestling on Dynamite, whether they win or they lose, man, they are always impressive. I know the main criticism, especially when it comes to Bandido, is like, ever since he was officially All Elite, he's been losing a lot of his matches, and that is very much true. But every match he has wrestled, he has looked tremendously well. And hopefully, in the near future, Bandido, they can start booking him to win some matches, because I feel like Bandido is so good of a talent, he shouldn't really lose constantly. But if you look at the creative end of this particular match, it makes total sense for the Blackpool Combat Club to win. But the main thing that we need to talk about this is Yuta ended up getting the win over Bandido, man. Wheeler Yuta is on a fucking roll, man. He first pinned Kenny Omega, of course, at Double or Nothing, and now he pinned Bandido. He is on a roll, man. Absolutely on a roll, and the Blackpool Combat Club stand tall. After that, the Young Bucks and Hangman Page are in a backstage interview. Matt says a long time ago, he told Hangman that he brings out the good in them. After last Sunday, the Blackpool Combat Club brought the worst on them. After that, they never thought the day would come with him having an exploding sneaker. And Nick says they are the heart and soul of this place. and Hangman says they're still standing and breathing. After that, the Blackpool Combat Club, of course, always rely on the numbers game. And then what happens is while Hangman is speaking, the Dark Order come out. Of course, the Dark Order, after, he beat Kenny Omega at Full Gear back in 2021, Hangman paired himself with the Dark Order, and they've been kind of doing this whole friendship thing, throughout the majority of 2021 when Hangman was kicked out of the Elite earlier on in the first few months of AEW. So they come in, and, Hangman is with his new friend, says the Dark Order. So there's some tension going on with the Dark Order, and it looks like, they're starting to feel a little bit upset with Hangman Page because now he is hanging out with his old friends and he's no longer hanging out with the Dark Order. And it's rumored that Kenny Omega is out of the country, but he is not in Canada. Now, that's the biggest takeaway from this whole backstage interview. The biggest takeaway because Kenny Omega is not in the country. Wow, where could he be besides Canada? I think it's pretty much safe to say he is in Japan. And most likely he's going to call out Kota Ibushi for him to come back, for him to join AEW and join the Elite to fight off the Blackpool Combat Club. And it's going to be a spectacular, spectacular, spectacular moment in the future. After that, we got Switchblade Jay White and Juice Robinson, Bullet Club Gold. I love what they're doing with Switchblade Jay White so far, man. Yes, AEW has a history of bringing in guys, and they one week they're doing so well for themselves, and then the next week they're not even on television. They have no momentum whatsoever. Jay White is absolutely different. I refuse to believe that they are underutilizing Jay White because they are not. Because think about this: if you put Jay White in the main event spot right now, all he's going to do is he's going to be going down. But you got to take baby steps when it comes to new talent that you're bringing in, and when it comes to Jay White, they're doing tremendously well with Jay White because he's on television almost every week, and he is in a feud with Ricky Starks. So don't even tell me that they're doing nothing and they're immediately burying Jay White. Those are the people that are saying that do not know anything, and they are literally impatient. They want Jay White immediately to go after the World Championship. It doesn't work that way. You have plans in place. I said on this very channel that within a year, or maybe a little over a year, Jay White will be a world champion. I genuinely believe that. But we need to be patient. It's not like AEW is not doing anything with Jay White. It's not like AEW is not putting Jay White on television. AEW, at least out of all the people that they brought in, they know the caliber of the talent that Jay White has, and they're doing very well with Jay White. But they wrapped their arms around Tony Schiavone, who was in the ring. And we can all agree Double or Nothing was an amazing night. Ricky Starks feels like he is on top after he eliminated him and himself from the Blackjack Battle Royale. But let's remind him that he is not the international champion. He lost that Battle Royal just like he lost to him, via disqualification, I should say. Robinson then brings up FTR, why Dax and Cash came into the aid of, Ricky Starks. It's mind-boggling. There's no way FTR is friends with Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks ain't got no friends. Stark says, we all know that FTR are Southern boys. That being, one of either Jay White or Juice Robinson. I completely forgot who said that. But we all know FTR are Southern boys. They're a little bit slow. They look dumb too. They also sound dumb. He didn't think they were dumb enough to get in their business. And then what happens is Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, the current AEW Tag Team Champions, come out and says that they are here to say, they're not here to say sorry, says Juice. And FTR says they had to apologize and thinks FTR wants to join Bullet Club Gold. All they had to do was ask. Make sure you do it politely. After that, Jay White, he drops the mic. And after that, the heels attack FTR. And then Jay White hits the Blade Runner on Cash Wheeler. After that, Starks comes in for the save. And he challenges Jay White to a match on Dynamite next week. Overall, thoughts on this match, man. It's really good, man. From where FTR was, they were feuding with Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, to now feuding with Jay White and Juice Robinson. Sign me the fuck up. It gives, that is 10 times better than what FTR was doing before this. Now, we are going to be getting Ricky Starks versus Jay White next week on Dynamite. Could this be a scenario in which Jay White ends up beating Ricky Starks clean and center in the middle of the ring? I have absolutely no idea. Ricky Starks could easily win this match. We're going to have to wait and see. But very, 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 very interesting developments when it comes to this match heading into next week. And now the involvement of FTR, I definitely see some, expansion when it comes to Bullet Club Gold in AEW. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what they do. But I'm invested. After that, we got the Tony Khan announcement regarding the premiere of Collision. Tony Khan, man, loves his fucking announcements. I think it's safe to say he loves his announcements. We've been getting an announcement regarding Collision almost every week at this point. It's starting to get a little bit tiresome, in my opinion. But this announcement was very much worth it. Of course, the official announcement is AEW Collision will feature the return of CM Punk. Yes, it is official. CM Punk will be making his return to All Elite Wrestling. And the crowd reaction regarding CM Punk's return being announced, there was a lot of cheers for CM Punk, and there was a lot of people wearing CM Punk shirts, but there were also a lot of people that were not too happy about the announcing of the return of CM Punk. Now, why did Tony Khan make this announcement? Now, the tickets for the United Center show are moving very fast. Now, if you compare it to last year's Forbidden Door, or if you compare it to the First Dance 2 years ago, are they selling as fast as those two shows? No, but I believe they added more seats, and the capacity now is going to be 10,000. I believe they roughly have, I think it's like 8,000 seats, that are already sold. But, they're moving tickets fast for United Center, but not as fast as those two shows. But it's safe to say that Punk is still relatively a draw. Now, when it comes to CM Punk coming back, is he going to come back as a heel or a babyface? This is the main topic that everybody has been talking about because of the reaction regarding CM Punk. The reaction with CM Punk was split down the middle this past Wednesday on Dynamite. Now, I was at Prudential Center for Full Gear back in November of last year. And I'll tell you this right now. The crowd in New Jersey, when the Elite came out and they were wrestling Death Triangle for the Trios titles, and I believe that was the first match of their Best of 7 series, right in the beginning stages of the match, you had, and I have footage of this on my phone, fans, including myself, were chanting, "Fuck CM Punk." Those were common chants, man. Fuck CM Punk, fuck CM Punk, fuck CM Punk. AEW should not enter themselves in a position in which they're going to bring back CM Punk. Because let's be honest with ourselves. When CM Punk comes back onto the first show, June 17th at the United Center, of course he is going to have a huge pop with the audience. Everybody in Chicago is going to love CM Punk. But after that, AEW is going to move into a lot of markets, especially in Canada. And, of course, they're going to move to New Jersey as well for the next few weeks of Collision. So those reactions are going to be very, very, very interesting. Could it be a scenario in which CM Punk comes in as a heel, but he's cheered in Chicago? Or is, he's cheered in Chicago and, he's booed in other markets? We have absolutely no idea. But it's very, very interesting to talk about because I've been always saying, CM Punk needs to come back as a heel. I think it's pretty much safe to say that Punk should come back as a heel. End off. There's no reason that after what Punk did at the media scrum, you would look at CM Punk as a babyface. It's just fucking impossible to think. It really is. And I think the most logical direction for CM Punk is for him to go on a heel run and really, just have a decent run as a heel for himself. And we'll see where we go from there. I mean, it looks like the Elite and CM Punk are going to be split away from one another. That's what it looks like, but we do not know what's going to happen. What is CM Punk going to be saying on his first, night in Chicago? When he returns to AEW June 17th at the United Center at Collision. What is he going to say? Is he going to cut this just ravishing, crazy-ass heel promo in Chicago? We have no idea. But it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with CM Punk, man. I'm totally going to be keeping an eye out for this. And June 17th is going to be a very, very, very newsworthy show for Collision. Another thing, a lot of people are talking about how CM Punk deserves another AEW World Championship run. Let's be honest with ourselves. CM Punk does not deserve the AEW World Championship. You know, he had it once, got injured, had it twice, tore his tricep, and also, obvious circumstances, had him relinquish that title. So, CM Punk should go nowhere near the World Championship. Who are some of the guys that CM Punk could feud with? Now, of course, the feud that everybody wants to see is the Elite. You know, everybody wants the Elite, you know, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks wrestling CM Punk and FTR at Wembley. Could that happen? I have no idea, man. Of course, the whole situation regarding the Elite and CM Punk, there's some legal troubles regarding that whole situation. And could it be a scenario in which the Elite are not willing to work with CM Punk? Is CM Punk willing to work with the Elite? You know, I've always talked about this, but the Elite should know. They have to know that everybody wants to see this match. Everybody wants this to be turned into a storyline. If you honestly believe that they don't think that, then something is completely wrong with you. But the Elite, really, I genuinely believe they know. They know there is money to be made in that feud. But with the whole rumors of the roster split in AEW, and apparently, you know, the Elite are going to be on Dynamite and CM Punk is only going to be on Collision, it's a whole fucking shit show. And we just do not know what's going to be happening. But CM Punk is official, and he is going to be returning June 17th at the United Center. And we'll just have to wait and see what CM Punk says, man. It's going to be a very newsworthy show, and I'm very interested to see what they're going to be doing, man. I guarantee you a lot of people are going to be talking about AEW Saturday, June 17th, and I'm 100% here for it. Hopefully, CM Punk just does not go out of line, and he actually, you know, just has a good run for himself, because his first run with AEW was very well. I loved his first run with AEW, but it ended off on a bad note. Hopefully, this new run, you know, ends on a good note, and hopefully CM Punk gets along with everybody. But yeah, CM Punk's return is official June 17th for the premiere episode of AEW Collision at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. All right.
You're listening to...
I completely forgot to turn that off. Jesus Christ. All right. We got the triple threat match with Swerve Strickland taking on Big Bill and Trent Beretta. This was a very, very, very good triple threat match. Now, next week on Dynamite, it's going to be official. Orange Cassidy is going to be defending his international championship against Swerve Strickland. And a lot of people are saying, hey, man, this could be the one that takes the international championship away from Orange Cassidy. We'll have to wait and see. But honestly, you know, very, very, you know, I'm just, you know, Swerve Strickland, man. A lot of people have been criticizing his booking. You know, the feud with Keith Lee kind of just went down the tubes, and it looks like they're no longer feuding. It kind of just died on its own. But, you know, give Swerve some direction, man. I'm not really into this whole Mogul Embassy thing. I just didn't really care about the Mogul affiliates. It's just not... It just didn't work. It didn't work. But nonetheless, man, Swerve is a certified main eventer, and he is going to be a certified star in the next few years. And this triple threat match definitely showcased his talent. Swerve retreats to the outside. We got a trot by Trent on Bill. We get a tope suicida on Swerve by Trent. Swerve then gets taken into the ring, but then Bill blocks a right hand. We then get a boot by Swerve, and then we get a chop by Trent Beretta. We then get repeated chops by Trent on Big Bill. We get a boot by Bill on Swerve, but then Bill splashes on both Swerve and Trent in each corner. He then drops down Trent, and then he hits a high boot. After that, we get a cover. We go to commercial break. Bill hits a boot on Swerve, but then we get a drop kick by Trent on Big Bill. Trent goes to the top, and then he ends up hitting the moonsault. And after that, we get a running kick by Swerve on the apron on Trent. He then takes Trent back into the ring, but then Swerve goes to the top. Bill then grabs him, but then he goes for the overhead chop. He then goes to the top, but then Bill takes both Trent and Swerve, but then both men fight back. Trent and Swerve hit a double superplex on Big Bill. After that, we get repeated right-hand exchanges by both Swerve and Trent. We get the half-and-half suplex by Trent Beretta. Then Bill ends up coming in and hitting the Boss Man Slam. We then get a cover and a near fall when Swerve hits the kick. We then get a cover by Swerve and a near fall. Swerve ends up flatlining Trent, but then he goes to the top, and then he tries to go for the Swerve stomp, but ends up missing. After that, we get a kick by Trent, and then he ends up hitting the pile driver on Swerve. We then get a cover and a near fall. Trent then goes for repeated chops on Bill onto the apron, and then he chokeslams Trent, but then Swerve goes for the Swerve stunt on Bill onto the apron, and then Swerve goes back into the ring and goes for the crucifix pin on Trent, and Swerve wins this triple threat match, and nothing else, man. This was a great match on Dynamite. Very interesting when they first booked this match. I was like, wait, why are they booking a triple threat match? But Swerve looked very good. Trent looked good. Big Bill looked very good as well. But Swerve, out of all three, definitely looked the best. And I'm very interested to see what they're going to be doing next week, as Swerve Strickland will be facing Orange Cassidy for the International Championship. Could that be the night in which Orange Cassidy loses his title to a guy like Swerve Strickland? I'm 100% down for that. I think Swerve deserves a run with the international title, but that is just me. After that, we got the Acclaimed. So the Acclaimed cut a promo with Daddy Ass, of course, Billy Gunn. Things did not go the way they planned this past Sunday at Double or Nothing, and that is okay. Anyone can get beat, and his biggest regret is that he let them down. That is what Billy Gunn told the rest of the Acclaimed. Caster tells Billy Gunn to not blame himself. They were undefeated before they wrestled the House of Black, and together they are the Acclaimed and the People's Choice. Bowen says that their goal remains the same, and they want, they want gold, and this man, Billy Gunn, after 30 years giving his all, this man deserves to hold gold one more time. Do not worry, Billy. They still love you, and everybody loves the Acclaimed. What was the whole point of this segment? It was kind of a random segment out of nowhere, in my opinion, but it is what it is. I mean, I love the Acclaimed, but, this was a random segment, to be quite honest with you. Tony Schiavone interviews Don Callis and a now heel Konosuke Takeshita. Holy fucking shit. This was amazing. I loved this segment. Everything about this was amazing, man. The heel heat that Don Callis generated, we need to appreciate the audience of AEW, man. Like, they know this shit. They just know it. And this was just nothing but spectacular, man. So Don Callis walks out with Takeshita, of course, with no music, with a slew of boos. And the boos weren't as loud until he got in the ring and grabbed the microphone. So Don says he sincerely hopes that those boos are for Kenny Omega, man. He is getting Dominic Mysterio level boos. Don Callis says he is the real victim. He done everything for Kenny Omega. IWGP title because of him. AEW World title because of him. But instead, Kenny Omega chose his friends. And then those boos get louder and louder and louder. Don Callis then states, every morning he wakes up and he looks at this scar. 24 stitches. He blames Kenny. He destroyed his family. And maybe he lost a nephew, but he gained a son. Of course, he is pointing at Konosuke Takeshita. Talks about how Takeshita is the best athlete, and he says he is 6'3", 240 pounds. Ricky Dozan, Inoki, Muda, he's better than Okada. Now, when he said he was better than Okada, the camera panned to the flag of the Forbidden Door logo, so it looks like they could be setting up a Konosuke Takeshita and Kazuchika Okada match. We have no idea, but I'd be 100% down for that. The Rainmaker versus Takeshita, sign me the fuck up. Who else is better than Kenny Omega? And then after that, Konosuke Takeshita grabs the microphone, and he speaks in Japanese and talks about how he will, or they will, I should say, destroy the Elite, and they will destroy Kenny Omega, says Takeshita. Kenny destroyed his family, says Don, and he will make a new family, and they will cut the Elite out of all Elite wrestling. Holy shit, man. This match, or this segment, was fucking awesome. I can't, everybody talks about the heel heat that Dominic generates, and it is great heat. I am not denying that whatsoever. But I'm seeing all over the internet when it comes to Dominic, saying Dominic is a better heel than MJF. First off, that is not even a fair comparison, because if you compare mic skills to MJF and Dominic, MJF will school Dominic 110%. or wrestling skills. Now, Dominic is fantastic in the ring, but let's be real here. He didn't wrestle a 60-minute match with fucking Bryan Danielson, okay? You know, MJF is clearly the better wrestler, but the fact that you have people comparing Dominic and MJF just because of heel heat, that's just a dumbass comparison. Because let's be real here. Any heel, any wrestler that turned on their father on live pay-per-view or television would gain the exact same amount of heat that Dominic got. Don Callis, though, got that Dominic level heat. If you want to compare Dominic to any person, compare Dominic to Don Callis. Don't compare him to MJF. But I will say, Dominic, and this is with all due respect, Dominic Mysterio ain't got shit on Don Callis. It's safe to say that right now. And Konosuke Takeshita as a heel, I'm down for it, man. I'm very down for it. He came off really well. He was speaking in Japanese. I don't know what he was saying in Japanese, but he was definitely, you know, really, he was acting like a heel. He looked like a heel, and he looked very well. And I absolutely like that about Konosuke Takeshita. And most likely down the line, we will be getting a Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Takeshita match. I mean, it's pretty much safe to say that we are going to be getting a match like that. But are they still a part of the Blackpool Combat Club, or are they not? I believe that they are a part of the Blackpool Combat Club. I also believe that we are going to be getting Blood and Guts in a couple weeks down the line. Now, it's not official, but it looks like the direction that they're going looks like we are going to be getting Blood and Guts. And of course, Konosuke Takeshita is going to be that fifth member with the Blackpool Combat Club. But who's going to be that fifth member for the Elite? It's obvious. It's going to be Kota Ibushi. That's what I see is going to be happening. And honestly, man, this segment right here was nothing but gold. Everything about this was just pure perfection. I loved this segment. The heel heat that Don Callis has been generating, man. Every week now when Don Callis is on the microphone, he's going to get that exact reaction. And those reactions are just going to be phenomenal. Just absolutely phenomenal. After that, we got the Embassy, or I should say the Gates of Agony, taking on Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin. This was a great match, man. The tag team with Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin is a great pairing, in my opinion. It's kind of very similar to Jungle Hook. You know, it's just a great pairing, in my opinion. And overall, man, Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin looked very, very, very good in this match, man. Really, I'm not going to go through everything in this match, but throughout the majority of this whole match, man, Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy were taking a fucking beating. Toa Leona goes after Orange Cassidy, and then he takes Cassidy and hits a belly-to-belly suplex. Darby then sends Khan to the post. After that, Darby makes the tag, and then he runs into an elbow by Toa Leona. After that, Khan tags in, and then Darby goes for the springboard coffin drop, but then Toa hits a fucking furious pounce that just knocked out Darby Allin. After that, Cassidy gets taken to the outside. The Mogul Embassy come out, and then the Embassy are in control over Darby Allin. Toa then sends Darby into the corner, but then Darby hits an elbow at Bishop Khan. After that, we get a couple of kicks by Darby, and then he launches Darby onto the apron, and then Khan sends Darby onto the barricade, onto the apron repeatedly. After that, we get a running pounce on Cassidy by Toa Leona. Then, once we're back from commercial break, Khan drops Darby onto the apron. Toa ends up hitting a senton, and then after that, Toa plants Darby to the mat. Darby tries to fight back on the Gates of Agony, but then Darby tries to tag in Cassidy, but then the heels hold on. Darby pushes the heel on the other heel, that being Toa Leona on Bishop Khan, or the other way around, I'm not sure, I completely forgot. Cassidy then tags in. We then get a dropkick by Cassidy, but then Khan, by accident, dropkicks Toa Leona. After that, we get a DDT by Cassidy on Khan, but then we get a cover into near fall. Cassidy then misses the orange punch, but then Toa Leona ends up hitting the Samoan drop. After that, they hit the double shot on Cassidy, but then we get a cover into near fall. Then they pick up Orange, but then we get a double Hurricane Rana by Orange. After that, we get a splash by Darby on both heels. Later on in the match, Khan runs through Orange, and then we get the Stunt Dog Millionaire. Code Red by Darby. Orange ends up hitting the Tope Suicida. A coffin drop by Darby, and then we get a cover, and the babyfaces end up getting the win. Overall, great match. I loved this match. I mean, Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy make a great pairing, and both of them looked absolutely great. Of course, we had the rest of the Embassy, or the Mogul Embassy, I should say, show up. And, of course, Swerve Strickland is going to be wrestling Orange Cassidy next Wednesday on Dynamite for that international title. And honestly, I am not against Swerve Strickland winning that international championship. But we were not done. The Mogul Embassy walks down the ramp, and they surround the ring, and it looks like they are going to be attacking Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy. But Sting comes out with Tony Schiavone on commentary just marking out, and he comes out and basically has the heels running and the heels retreat. So great seeing Sting on AEW Dynamite. After that, we get an in-ring interview with Hook. Of course, he is the current FTW champion. What is next for Hook after helping the Hardys? But what happens is La Facción Ingobernable come out. Of course, Jose is cutting a promo, and he's talking about them not getting a lot of opportunities. Then Preston and Dralistico end up ganging up on Hook, and then Jungle Boy comes out for the save and then hits both heels with the chair. At this point, Jose is in the ring, and then Hook ends up hitting a suplex on Jose, and Jungle Hook stand tall in the center of the ring. After that, we got Chris Statlander taking on Nyla Rose. Of course, Chris Statlander is the current TBS champion, and this match is for the TBS championship. Chris Statlander having an open challenge for the TBS title is great because we now have the TBS title on Dynamite almost every week now, because I could even recall, there were many times where Jade was never even on television, and most of the time she was on Rampage on a show that nobody watches. And honestly, Chris Statlander, she's doing very well for herself, and this is only her first title defense. In my opinion, I genuinely believe, man, Chris Statlander holding the TBS championship is only going to elevate her, it's only going to elevate her more at this point. But let's go through the match. Both lock up. We got a running shotgun dropkick by Statlander. She tries to pick up Rose. I said Rosa. I was thinking of Thunder Rosa. She tries to pick up Rose, but Rose instead hits a slam, but then Nyla misses a senton. After that, Statlander applies the body scissors on Nyla Rose, but then Rose gets her foot onto the rope. Nyla then tries to pick her up, but then Statlander tries to fight back. We then get repeated rights by Nyla, but then Nyla goes for the suplex on Statlander into the corner. Once we're back from commercial break, we then get a lariat by Nyla Rose. We then get a splash by Nyla, and then we get the high kick by Statlander. We then get the running uppercut into the corner, but then she hits a boot on Nyla, and then she drives down Nyla, and then we get a cover into near fall. Statlander then goes to the top, but then Nyla sweeps her down. We get a splash by Nyla into the corner, but then Nyla hits the cannonball onto the outside. Then she sends Statlander onto the barricade, and she goes for a second cannonball. After that, Nyla goes for a chokeslam on Statlander. We get a cover into near fall. Statlander ends up hitting the jawbreaker. She goes to the top and hits a beautiful 450 splash. And we get a cover, and Chris Statlander wins the match. Overall, great match. Nyla Rose, we haven't seen her on television in a while. I believe she's been on Rampage. I'm be honest, I haven't been watching Rampage in fucking weeks. I'm most likely probably going to be watching Rampage this week because the card looks fucking awesome. But, I haven't been watching Rampage in weeks, so you guys be the judge of that. But it's great seeing Nyla Rose on Dynamite again. And Chris Statlander defending her TBS title on Dynamite, mostly, hopefully every week. I'm down for that because, again, it gives some direction when it comes to Chris Statlander. And it looks like AEW is definitely going to be positioning Chris Statlander as one of the top women in the women's division. After that, we got our main event. We got Adam Cole and Britt Baker taking on Chris Jericho and Saraya. This was the main event of the show, and it's safe to say that this match was 10 times better than the unsanctioned match that Chris Jericho and Adam Cole had at Double or Nothing. I even talked about it on my Double or Nothing review. Again, the link will be in the description below. Adam Cole and Chris Jericho in the unsanctioned match, number one, it did not need to be an unsanctioned match. The involvement of Sabu, even though I like Sabu, the involvement of Sabu made absolutely no sense whatsoever because it didn't fit in with the story. You can definitely, make the story of, Sabu and Chris Jericho were in ECW. Okay, that's great, but what does Sabu have to do with Adam Cole? That pairing made absolutely no sense, and he only got involved in the beginning stages of the match. After that, Adam Cole and Chris Jericho were kind of on their own throughout the majority of the match. And not only that, the crowd was dead. So it's safe to say Adam Cole and Chris Jericho was the weakest match of the whole entire pay-per-view card. But this match definitely made up for it. Cole and Jericho start both man brawl. We get repeated chops by Jericho on Adam Cole. Cole tries to fight back, but then Jericho regains control, and then he sends Cole into the corner. Then we get a clothesline by Jericho. we get repeated. We got rights and chops by Cole on Jericho. Both then exchange chops. Jericho then takes Cole onto the outside, but then he sends Cole onto the barricade. After that, we get a couple of chops by Cole. Cole ends up hitting a clothesline on Jericho, and then Saraya tags in. Britt Baker ends up tagging in, and then we get repeated rights by Britt Baker. Britt ends up hitting the sling blade, and then we get an overhead throw by Britt Baker. After that, we get a cover into near fall, and then it looked like Britt Baker went for the air raid crash after that. Britt then runs the ropes, and Chris Jericho ended up sweeping the legs of Britt Baker, knocking her down. Once we're back from commercial break, the Outcasts attack Britt Baker without the referee looking. After that, Sheeta comes in with the kendo stick. We then get a roll-up by Britt Baker, and then we get a near fall. Adam Cole makes the tag. We then get a pump kick by Adam Cole. After that, we get repeated rights by Cole, and then we get a chop by Jericho. Cole ends up hitting the Insiguri, and then Cole misses a drop kick. Jericho ends up hitting the Lion Salt, and then we get a cover by Jericho and a near fall. Saraya then tags in, but then Britt Baker goes for repeated rights. Then Britt Baker ends up hitting the neck breaker. At this point, Britt is on the top, but then Saraya comes up to the middle rope, and then Saraya comes down, but then Jericho goes to the top of Saraya, and Britt drops Saraya on she drops Jericho on Saraya. After that, we get a cover and a near fall. Then Cole ends up hitting the backstabber, but then Cole sets up the Panama Sunrise. After that, Jericho sweeps the legs, then he applies the walls of Jericho. Saraya then ends up taking out Britt Baker, and then Jericho drags Adam Cole to the center of the ring. Britt ends up putting the glove on her hand and applies the lockjaw on Chris Jericho. Saraya ends up making the save, but then Cole tunes up the band, so it looks like he's going to set up and hit a super kick. After he tunes up the band, he lands into a code breaker by Jericho. We get a cover into near fall, but then Cole exchanged shots, and Cole and Jericho, I should say, exchanged shots. We get a double clothesline by Cole and Jericho, but then Britt Baker and Saraya tag in. Both fight it out, but then Saraya ends up hitting the DDT. We then get a cover into near fall, but then Jericho grabs Floyd, that being the baseball bat. Britt ducks. Cole ends up hitting a super kick on Adam Cole, or I should say on Chris Jericho. We get a double super kick by Britt Baker and Cole on Chris Jericho. Cole then tags in. Cole ends up hitting the boom, and we get a cover, and Adam Cole and Britt Baker end up getting the win, and the babyfaces stand tall. Overall thoughts on this main event, again, this was so much better, in my opinion, so much better than the one-on-one match that Adam Cole and Chris Jericho had at Double or Nothing. Honestly, it would have been so much better if they had booked this match at Double or Nothing, but instead they went with the unsanctioned match, and again, I said my piece, that match did not need to be an unsanctioned match. But where do we go now with Adam Cole? After this, are they still feuding with Chris Jericho? Because honestly, I really do not want to see Adam Cole feud with Chris Jericho, but at the same time, you really need to keep that momentum high when it comes to Adam Cole, because Adam Cole, hopefully by the end of this year, is set for a main event program with MJF, because you guys know it's coming. There's a lot of wrestlers that MJF can definitely benefit from having programs with. I look at guys like Ricky Starks, who they can definitely run that back. Darby Allin, after what happened at Double or Nothing, I would definitely expect a one-on-one program with Darby Allin and MJF. Eddie Kingston is another one. I'd be very interested in a one-on-one feud with Eddie Kingston and MJF. I mean, let's be real here. MJF and Eddie Kingston is money, and just the promo battles, alone would definitely make my day. Or Adam Cole, man. Adam Cole, he is definitely a contender to possibly take that AEW World Championship away from MJF. But we're just going to have to wait and see long-term to see what they do with Adam Cole. But again, hopefully they keep the momentum high with Adam Cole, because they're definitely going to be setting up Adam Cole for a future main event program with MJF. Not now, but maybe down the line by the end of this year. So we're just going to have to wait and see what they do with Adam Cole. But yeah, that was my AEW Dynamite review from May 31st, 2023. Overall thoughts on the show. Great show nonetheless. Very good show in my opinion. The announcement of CM Punk, of course, that is the main topic that we talked about. And it's going to be a big summer for AEW, man. AEW has a lot of things coming out this summer. Of course, we got the debut of Collision. We got the Fight Forever video game, which is coming out, and I've heard a lot of good reviews on the Fight Forever video game. We have Forbidden Door coming out, coming up. I said coming out. It looks like I feel like I'm talking about a movie, but we have Forbidden Door coming up, and I believe that's like 4 weeks away. So AEW really needs to start doing that build for Forbidden Door. But overall, man, AEW is definitely on a roll after Double or Nothing, and I'm definitely excited to see what they do in the future. But yeah, that was my AEW Dynamite review. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for more videos right here on the Wrestle Havoc podcast, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the Squared Circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. And as always, it is Flamin' Ricky Derez from the Wrestle Havoc podcast, signing out. I'll see you guys later for the SmackDown review. Peace.